Tonight, President Trump's popularity continues to sink toward record lows, flirting with the historic lows of George W. Bush and Jimmy Carter. Many different polls found that Trump's approval rating is now in the 30s, and a growing number of people are also questioning the president's mental acuity, with 51% saying that Trump's mental sharpness has gotten worse in the last year, according to a new Reuters Ipsos poll. When asked how the words even-tempered describes the president, 71% said, not well. Well, that's not exactly a surprise.
Stop the presses.
Yeah, but the mental acuity piece of it, as Trump has gotten, at least publicly, more erratic, that has broken through to the public. That is something that people are paying attention to.
I think people remember how Joe Biden was covered, and they look at conversations like this and they don't find it particularly serious, especially if you've followed Trump for a long time. This is his personality. This is nothing new, and people don't have that short of a memory.
What people are you talking about? The 51% of people who think that Trump doesn't have the mental acuity?
I'm talking about the average American. Again, we can show as many polls as we want. It's indisputable that his personality today is virtually the same as it was a decade ago, 2 decades ago.
I will so attest.
Well, I don't know if this is about his personality. Yeah. I think it's about the other things. It's about, I mean, if you listen to him speak, he often goes completely off the rails. He was in an interview with Maria Bartiromo the other day. He didn't remember that he had appointed or he had named a Supreme Court justice to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg while he was president before the midterms. There are things that he is not relaying information accurately, which he's really never done. But he also doesn't remember a lot of things. Yeah. Sometimes you wonder, does he remember that he appointed the current Fed chair, who he attacks on a regular basis? Those are the things I think people are looking at.
I think that it's the sharpness that people are starting to see, which is like totally normal, that the office wears on you, and he is getting older. I would agree with you, Jason. Like, I do think people look and they're like, and look at Joe Biden, he did, and I think that's where we're being like, alert, alert.
I think he's amazing personally. I don't like his politics, but I've known him for a long time, and it just seems to me that I don't know a single person in public life that can ad-lib the way he can. They can be so charismatic and tireless, giving 30-minute interviews around the clock. Where do you find an 80-year-old man that has that kind of energy?
But do they make sense?
Right. No, that's one thing. I can find.
Do
they make? Does it make sense, Geraldo? That is okay. Geraldo, I'm going to stick with you for just a second because I want you to respond to this. This is Tucker Carlson apologizing to, I guess, his supporters.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
He seems tormented.
Do you think he's wrestling with his conscience?
I think that Tucker had plenty of time to untorment himself between January 6, 2021 and Election Day of 2024. He had plenty of time to torment himself and say, I give up on this man. Instead, he embraced him. He helped propel him to this historic election win. I think that Tucker can't, by being sorry now, run away or rewrite history.
Nor can I. To do with his election, in my opinion.
I
mean, Trump is like a singularly talented campaigner who made it through all these historic, like chaotic periods, disasters, and Kamala Harris made Trump president. Joe Biden made Trump president. Tucker's acting as if like he went out and he gave the endorsement and that rallied all these people. Like this guy was going to win anyway. It had nothing to do with it.
Maybe so, but yes. Tucker did absolutely boost Trump. He did absolutely support Trump, and he did it despite we know privately saying totally different things. And to Geraldo's point, back in these text messages that were released in the Dominion defamation lawsuit, here's what Tucker said back around that time. Trump has a pretty low success rate in his business ventures, is what his producer says. He says, that's for sure. All of them fail. What he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. Tucker then says, we are very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. Another Tucker message. That's the last 4 years. We're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it, but admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, this isn't really an upside to Trump. Right. This is somebody who has profited off of talking out of both sides of his mouth. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, no surprise that today he is crying some, whatever.
Right, and you're going to get a lot of apologists and things like that, but the consequences are real. And again, if you look in our district, we have 55,000 units of housing that are necessary. Half of our kids are in poverty. We are actually struggling because of the decisions, the policies, the programs that this administration has pushed, and there has been nothing to actually adequately address that. And so the fact that he's failing in the polls is because this administration is failing. It's failing to actually protect our country. Nobody feels more safe in the United States of America after 7 weeks of a disastrous war that we're having in Iran. We are living the consequences of an election that God wish we had won, but the consequences are really impacting everyday working class folks, not those who are politicos and talking heads and things like that. The most is really impacting people and a day-to-day life in communities like Memphis.
Just to clarify, though, the world is a better place without the Iranian regime. We are safer. And one group of people who are doing worse in the polls than Donald Trump, Democrats.
Well,
you're playing all these semantics and
I'm looking
things,
at the polls.
but just look at people's lives. There are people right now in
there
my
are policy
community
issues
who
that I think are incredibly
struggling and who are
important, and that
suffering,
is
and this
explaining
administration
some of those
has
numbers.
failed to
Yeah,
adequately
I don't
do
disagree
anything
with
about
that.
it while transferring wealth
Congressional
to
Democrats
billionaires and
are lower.
multimillionaires.
So what does that say about them?
And we're seeing people who are in elected office
I
profiting
agree
off
with
of
you
that
about the
too.
problems. You should have picked
Ashley.
someone other than Harris.
I
if
just
you
will say
wanted to win.
Tucker,
We gotta leave it.
fine, and do better. Like, do better. Like, don't talk out of both sides of your mouth, because you will. And I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
That's asking a lot, Ashley. The president is making the case for his actions in Iran, one reporter at a time, how his phone calls are contributing to the many mixed messages coming from the White House.